Folks, let me say that one more time. We have hit Alabama's lowest ever unemployment rate. With record low unemployment and record job growth, I've actually had reporters ask if it's even possible for us to fill all our new jobs. Now, I say this affectionately, of course, but when the media takes two positives and turns them into a negative, you know you're doing something right. I hate to disappoint the naysayers, but we have more good news. My office recently announced that a record $10.1 billion with the B dollars in capital investments were made in Alabama in 2022. This is the highest level on record, surpassing the previous high water year by a whopping 16%. Results like these don't just happen by luck. They require planning and leadership. From economic incentives to industrial site preparation, Alabama has become a trailblazer in attracting new jobs in industry. One economic development program, the Rebuild Alabama Act, has literally paved the way for industrial development and job recruitment across our state. Since the Rebuild Alabama Act was first enacted just 4 years ago, new road and bridge projects have broken ground in all of our 67 counties. More than $170 million in state funds have been awarded to cities and counties in which 234 new projects are either underway or already completed. And while we may not love driving through all those orange cones during our commutes or drives down to the beach, I assure you the results will be worth the wait. One local project we are closely monitoring is the planned expansion of I-59 from the I-459 interchange to Chalkville Mountain Road. The addition of one lane in each direction will help reduce chronic congestion that many of you experience in your daily drives. The planning continues to move forward, and we look forward to bringing this project to fruition in the near future. I'm equally proud to share that Alabama is making great strides in building and expanding another form of infrastructure vital to our economy: broadband internet. Increasing broadband access in all Alabama has been a major priority of mine during my time as governor, and it will continue to be over my next 4 years. Since 2018, Alabama has invested nearly $64 million in grants supporting 100 new projects across the state. We have committed over $300 million in state and federal funding for broadband expansion. Alabama is working, and that is why our state was among the top 15 in population growth from July 2021 to July 2022. We are proud to welcome folks in search of a better life from California, Colorado, and New York to home sweet home Alabama. And I'll add that Alabama was also chosen by the United States Air Force as the future home of the Space Command headquarters. We won the competition hands down, fair and square. And that was over 2 years ago. But sadly, there are some folks who don't like Alabama's success. President Biden has slow-walked the final approval of the Space Command's location in Huntsville in hopes of finding a way to take it away from us. We all know that politics should never come before what is best for America's national defense. The Biden administration must put America first and follow the Air Force's recommendation to build Space Command new headquarters in Huntsville. Remarkably, we continue to see a flagrant disregard for our country's security from the Biden administration. And there's no better example than the current crisis at the southern border. For the entire length of the Biden administration, illegal immigration has broken records. President Biden's abandonment of border security is not only a threat to America's security, but also to the lives of many young Americans. The deadly drug fentanyl is the leading cause of death of Americans from ages 18 to 45, a 94% increase since 2019. In March alone, enough fentanyl was seized at the southern border to equal 645 million lethal doses. In Alabama, fentanyl endangers our children and our first responders. I'm pleased to report that on April 6th, I signed into law House Bill number 1, and it will, for the first time under Alabama law, subject fentanyl traffickers to severe penalties for drug possession. We will not allow those who push these deadly drugs to have access to our schoolyards and our communities. And I cannot thank our law enforcement enough for their dedication and service to keep us all safe. As we mark National Police Week, this is a good time to remember their sacrifices to protect our families and children. Speaking of our children, they are the key to Alabama's future. For this reason, I have set a goal of Alabama reaching the top 30 states in educational achievement by the end of my term as governor. And our journey to success in the classroom starts with the youngest of learners. Alabama's first-class pre-K program, which has led the nation for the last 16 years, is generating positive results for our earliest students. And I'm committed to ensuring that every parent who wants to enroll their child will have access to it. Data show us that children who participated in Alabama's first-class pre-K, which begins at age 4, are more likely to be kindergarten ready, more likely to be proficient in reading and math, less likely to be retained in a grade, and less likely to be chronically absent. They're less likely to need special education and less likely to receive disciplinary referrals. Our goal is to expand access from the current level of 45% to 70% of Alabama's 4-year-olds. I've asked that additional support be directed to 19 counties where more than 20% of the population falls below the federal poverty guidelines. Y'all, by giving our children, every single child, a quality, strong start to their educational journeys, that's giving everyone equal opportunity. And we are not focusing on the nonsense. We're focusing on the building blocks of education, reading and math. And now, while we're speaking of reading, beginning this year, Alabama's children will also benefit from our partnership with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. That's a book gifting program that mails free, high-quality books to children from birth to age 5, no matter the family's income. It's also past time that we require students to complete kindergarten. I'm supporting legislation this session to ensure that our students entering kindergarten are fully ready for the first grade by the time they finish. And last year, I presented a challenge to our schools, communities, citizens, and leaders to band together to pledge that we will no longer accept the existence of failing elementary schools in our state. No longer are we letting family income or any other barriers define a child's ability to obtain the quality education they so deserve. I'm proposing we continue funding this strategic vision to find new personalized ways to solve old problems, ensuring every Alabama school is a successful one. Through the Numeracy and Alabama Literacy Acts, we are putting a renewed emphasis on the fundamentals of education, reading and math. The budgets are moving through the legislative process as we speak, and I'm supporting increased funding for more reading and math coaches so we can ensure that every child in every school has the ability to be proficient in these two essential areas. We must also double funding for computer science professional learning in 2024. Recruiting and retaining top-notch teachers are critical to our success in the classroom. Teacher shortages make it very difficult to raise reading and math proficiency. Programs like the TEAMS Act will pay math and science teachers up to $15,000 more a year in hard-to-staff schools. My goal is to have the starting salary for all Alabama teachers to be the highest in the Southeast by the end of my term. That's why I was proud to propose a teacher pay raise for the 6th straight year. In this year's budget, we must also continue to have meaningful discussions on school choice, and that must begin with improving the school choice that we already have now, primarily our charter school options. The bottom line is simple. If a community wants to improve its education options by establishing a charter school, then we need to offer them support, not red tape and obstacles. That's why I've called for the targeted funding to help charters get off the ground, and that's why I support legislation to improve the governance of the Charter School Commission. These actions will allow more charter schools to form in the areas of our state that need them and ultimately create more choices for parents. These are just a few of the examples of my new education strategy for the next 4 years. And folks, I'm truly excited about our state's potential to transform our education system into leader while opening doors for families to prosper for generations to come in Sweet Home, Alabama. And I know I can count on all of you to help me in this great effort. So now, let's go to work. Thank you so much for inviting me to visit with you today. May God continue to bless each of you and the great state of Alabama.